Yes, sure.
No class. No class.
Mighty God, you are the source of life. We thank you for all the blessings you have given to us. Thank you for giving us another day to learn something new. Clear our mind and help us focus. Guide us and our teacher as we study and create new learning experiences. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, teacher Nova. So next slide, please. So I think you're sleepy, class. So we prepared a game, and the name of the game is Guess the Scrambled Words. So from the first scrambled words, who wants to guess? Hey, Isabel Elanyapon, what is your guess?
Plants and animals teacher.
Thank you, Miss Eliapon. So, plants and animals. It's correct. Please, next slide, please. Very good. So, next slide, please. So, from the second scrambled words, what is the word? Who wants to answer? Okay, Banku Creston. What is your guess?
Habitats teacher.
So, next slide. If Creston answer is correct, next slide, please. Yes. Wait a minute. I think the Canva is on air. Yes, it's habitats. Thank you, Kristen. So from the next word, let's next slide, please. Next slide, please. No, from the next word. Who wants to guess? Wait. Uh, Jane Wabiga. What is the words?
From aquatic, sir.
Let's next slide, please. Yes, it's aquatic. Very good, Shane. So next slide. Let's guess the scrambled word. Who wants to guess? Um, Janino, what is your guess?
I think the word is terrestrial teacher.
Next slide, please. If the answer of Janino is correct. Yes, terrestrial. Very good, Janino. So next slide, please. Next word. Guess the scrambled word. Once to guess. Wait. Jennifer. Malay.
Ariel,
What is your guess? Let's slide please if the Ariel is correct. Yes, it's Ariel. Thank you, Miss Balay. Next slide please. So, so our topic for today is all about plants and animals and their habitats. So, children, we have an idea what is plants and animals, right? You have an idea?
yes, teacher.
Please give me a heart reaction if you have an idea. Okay, so let's proceed to the habitats. Please, next slide, please. What is habitats? On your own opinion or on your own idea, what is habitats? So, who wants to guess or who wants to answer? Okay, Shane, Mobiga.
I think teacher habitats refers to a natural environment, teacher, where a certain organism lives.
Yes, nice answer, Mobiga. So, next slide, please. So, what is habitat? Habitat is a natural environment where an organism lives and a physical and living resources that support it. Habitats provided by organism with food, water, shelter, and space to survive. So habitats are important to animals and plants because without the habitats, plants and animals may die or they cannot survive from the earth. So, but wait, someone sent me a message. So, students, let's read the message. Next slide, please. Oh, it's Diego. He have a problem. So let us reply, Diego. What is your problem, Diego? Next slide, please. So the problem of Diego is he have an animals and plants, but he don't know what their habitats are. So students, who wants to help Diego? Give me a heart reaction. Who wants to help Diego? Oh, all of us wants to help Diego. So to help Diego, we need to know what is terrestrial habitats, aquatic habitats, and lastly, aerial habitats. So first, let's go to the terrestrial habitats. Next slide, please. So terrestrial habitats is a terrestrial habitats a place on land where the plants and animals live. Examples are forests, desert, and grasslands. These habitats have a different kinds of weather, plants, and animals that make them special. Next slide, please. So, who wants to read? Enjoy Lipetin.
Yes, teacher. So temperate forest. Unlike a rainforest hot climate, a temperate forest has different climates throughout the year.
So, thank you, Kim Joy. So, temper varies is the plants and animals here are adaptable to the different climates. Animals include squirrel, rabbits, bears, and lizard, mice, deer, and also frogs. So temperate forest is the climate here is adaptable from the animals and plants. Next slide, please. Boreal forest. Who wants to read? Okay, Gypsy Ramos.
Yes, teacher. So a boreal forest is a colder than a temperate forest and is found in more northern climates.
So thank you, Gypsy Ramos. So, boreal forests, there are an animals such as moose, bears, eagles, lions, reindeer, and even tigers. Boreal forest is colder than a temperature forest. So next slide, please. Next is rainforests. Rainforests are biomes that receive the most rainfall. They are extremely humid location with lush of vegetation and many types of animals. Some of the animals in the rainforest include leopards, parrots, monkeys, and snake, parrots, toucans, and also crocodile. Next slide, please. The next is desert. Who wants to read desert? Isabel El Yapon.
Yes, teacher. A desert is a biome that has very little rainfall.
Thank you, Isabel El Yapon. So the plants and animal here have adapted to hot temperature and very little rainfall. Some animals in desert include snakes, rodents, lizard, camels, fox, and tarantula. And the plants here, example, are cactus. So desert is so hot climate. Next slide, please. Next is tundra. Who wants to read? Wait a minute. Rosie, Balana.
Tundra. The tundra is the coldest biome that exists.
Okay, thank you, Rosie. So tundra, it is a found just a sound of Arctic. Many animals have adaptation that allow to live in cold climate. These animals include polar bears, foxes, seals, penguins, owl, whale, and also snow leopard. So tundra is a cold climate change. So next slide, please. Savannah is a location you may visit to have a safari. These have trees that are spread in a can live hot temperature with little water. These where you can find elephants, zebras, lions, tigers, and giraffes. Next slide, please. So next slide is grasslands. Who wants to read? Celestia.
Grasslands. There are many types of grasslands and are different each continent.
Thank you, Celestia. So grasslands are known as prairies. There are animals such as Paris dogs, bison, owl, wolf, toad, and goshawk, and also birds. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So, characteristics of terrestrial habitat. Weather. The temperature and amount of rain can change how plants and animals live. So, example, rainforests are warm and wet, while deserts are hot and dry. So, weather is like and this desert is hot and dry, and from the rainforest is wet and warm. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So next characteristics of terrestrial habitat is soil. Different types of soil have different plants to grow. Some soil hold a water while others are drained quickly. So next slide please. Characteristics of terrestrial habitats, plants. Each habitat has its own kinds of plants. For example, forests have a trees, while grassland have a lots of grass. So next slide please. Another characteristics of terrestrial habitat is land shapes. The land shape of the land, like mountains and flat plains, can affect the weather and what live there. Next slide please. Who wants to read the characters of terrestrial habitats of animals? Wait, Kalingyapon?
Yes, teacher.
Thank you, Alinyapon. So in some animals are found in a forest, while others live in a grassland or desert. So example of forest are eagles. From the grassland is cheetah, or from the desert is a camel. So next slide, please. Nature change. Things like fires, floods, and storms can change the habitat and can affect the plants and animals living there. Nature is changing on the terrestrial habitat, and the animals living there can cause death or they cannot live because of the nature change. Next slide, please. Living together, animals and plants interact with each other. Some some help each other while others compete for the food and space. So next slide, please. So for aquatic habitat, let's ask call Teacher Nova to continue. Teacher Nova, are you there?
Thank you for that, Teacher Sanelo. Okay, class, what is aquatic habitat? Can you please read, Ramos?
Yes, teacher. Aquatic habitat are environments where water supports life, including freshwater areas like lakes and rivers, and saltwater regions such as oceans and coral reefs.
So, aquatic habitat, freshwater habitats have non-salty water, while marine habitats contain salty water also. So, these areas have unique temperatures, light levels, and salinity that influence the types of plants and animals living there. So, again, next slide, please. So again, what are the two kinds of aquatic habitat, class? Yes, Irana.
Um, the freshwater habitats and the marine habitats, teacher.
Okay, very good, Irana. Can we give a confetti reaction to Irana? So, freshwater habitat, an environment with water that has low salt content, like rivers, lakes, ponds, and streams. So these habitats supports a variety of plants and animals that are adapted to live in this type of water. So the common creatures found in freshwater habitats are include fish, frogs, turtles, and many insects. So freshwater habitats are important because they provide drinking water. It also helps to maintain healthy ecosystems and support diverse wildlife. Next, we have rivers. Can I have who wants to read? Can you please read yes, De La Peña.
Rivers, a natural body of flowing fresh water that usually starts in mountains or hills and travels toward a larger body of water like a lake or ocean.
So rivers are home to many animals and plants that have adapted to live in moving water. Animals found in rivers are include fish, otters, turtles, frogs, and various birds. So, next we have streams, a small flowing body of fresh water that usually connects to rivers or lakes. So streams often start from rain. It also melting snow or springs and flow over rocks and soil. Many plants and animals like small fish, frogs, insects, and plants along the banks are adapted to live in the moving water of streams. So next we have lakes. Who wants to read? Let's hear from Shane.
Lake. Lakes are a large still body of fresh water surrounded by land.
So lakes can vary in size and depths and are home to many types of plants and animals. So the common animals in lakes are include fish, turtles, frogs, birds like ducks, plants such as water lilies, algae, and reeds too often grow in and around lakes. It also creating a rich habitat for a wildlife. So next we have ponds, a small tiny body of fresh water surrounded by land, usually shallower and smaller than a lake. So ponds provide also a safe habitat for various animals like fish, frogs, insects, and turtles, as well as plants like water lilies and cattails because they are swallow, sunlight can reach the bottom. So it also allowing many plants to grow and creating a rich environment for a wildlife. So next, can someone read? Yes, Bangkok.
Wetlands, areas where the land is covered by shallow water for most of the years.
So they are full of life. It also providing a home for many animals and plants. So the common animals that we found in wetlands are include frogs, alligators, birds, and insects. So the plants that we also found in wetlands are include like reeds, cattails, and water lilies thrive in the moist soil. Wetlands are also it also important because they also help to filter and clean the water. It also prevents floods and provide a rich habitat for a wildlife. Did you get it, class? And now that we've done discussing about the aquatic habitat, I have a questions for you, class. So, first, can you name some animals commonly found in freshwater habitats, such as rivers, streams, lakes, ponds, and wetlands? Who wants to answer? Yes, Lipitin.
Yes, teacher. So the animals commonly found in freshwater habitats include fish, frogs, turtles, otters, ducks, alligators, and insects. And well, the specific examples include fish and rivers, turtles in lakes, and frogs in wetlands.
So, thank you for that, Kim Joy. Can we give a heart reaction to Kim Joy? So, next question, class. Why are wetlands considered important for maintaining a healthy ecosystems and preventing foods? Le- yes, let's hear from Balana.
Wetlands are important teacher because clean they filter and clean water, act as natural sponges to absorb excess water and prevent flooding, and also provide a rich habitat for a diverse range of wildlife.
Okay, very good. Balana, let's give a confetti reaction to Balana, class. And to continue, may I call on Teacher Sanela to discuss the marine water habitats.
Thank you, Teacher Nova. So, marine water habitat. Who wants to read marine water habitat? Please raise your hand. So, Danielle Sassadan.
A marine water habitat is a saltwater environment found in oceans and seas.
So, marine water habitat is important for the fish. Like, example of their animals are fish, uh, turtles, um, coral reefs. That's the marine water habitats. So, next slide, please. So, ocean, please. Who wants to read? Um, Lisa.
Yes, teacher. Oceans, huge areas of salt water that cover most of the earth.
Thank you, Lisa. So, there are home to many different kinds of animals in the ocean, like fish, whales, dolphins, and sharks. Ocean also have plants like seaweeds, tiny plants called palaktapanon. These plants help make oxygen for our breath. Ocean are very important because she provide food, help control the weather, support lots of living things. There are like big homes for many sea creatures. So next slide please. Next is coral reefs. Who wants to read? Gifchi Ramos.
Yes, teacher. So a coral reef is a colorful underwater structures made from tiny sea animals called corals.
Thank you, Jeffrey. So, coral reefs, they are found in a warm, shallow water and are home for many fish and other sea creatures. Coral reefs provide food and shelter for a lot of marine life and help protect the coastline from strong waves. In the example of coral reefs, um, example of the animals of coral reefs are fish. So next slide, please. Who wants to read? Alindahaw.
Yes, teacher. Estuaries are places where fresh water from rivers meets salt water from the ocean.
Thank you, Alindahaw. So estuaries. They are often to swallow of all the plants and animals. Estuaries are very important because they provide safe place for young fish to grow and are rich of nutrients, make them great habitats for birds and other wild animals. Next slide, please. Next is coastal areas. Who wants to read? Jennifer Nieto.
Coastal areas, the land along the edges of oceans and seas.
Thank you, Kanyete. So coastal areas. They include beaches, rocky shores, and marshall. There are areas are home to many plants and animals, such as crabs, seagrass, and coastal areas are important because they provide food, recreation, protection for the many species of animals and plants. So next slide, please. Open ocean. Open ocean, the vast deep water away from the shore. It is a home of a large animals like whales, shark, as well as a many types of fish and jellyfish. The open ocean is important because it covers most of Earth and helps regulate the climate change and weather. It also a major source of food for people. Next slide, please. Mangroves. Who wants to read? Um, wait, wait a minute. Mabunoy.
Mangroves are special trees and plants that grow along coastlines in salty water.
So mangroves, they have a tank of roots that stick out of the water, helping to hold the soil in the place. Mangroves are home to many animals like crabs, fish, birds, and small mammals. These areas are important because they protect the shoreline from strong waves, provide a safe place for young fish to grow, and help clean the water by filtering out pollution. Mangroves also store a carbon which helps fight climate change. So next slide, please. Polar seas. Who wants to read? Jane Phyllis.
Polar seas, the cold ocean areas found around the North and South Poles.
Polar seas. These seas are covered in ice for much the year and are home of unique animals like polar bears, seals, penguins. The water is very cold and there are not many plants but tiny creatures called phytoplankton like live there and are important for the food chain. Polar seas are important because they help to regulate the Earth's climate and are sensitive to change in temperature, which can affect the entire planet. Next slide, please. So the characters of aquatic habitats will let's call Teacher Nova to continue. Teacher Nova,
Thank you, Teacher Sanelo. Can I have Rasokilio to read?
Yes, teacher. Characteristics of aquatic habitats. Water. Aquatic habitats are always full of water, which can be fresh, like rivers and lakes, or salty, like oceans.
So aquatic habitats are defined by the presence of water, which is crucial for the survival of their inhabitants. So these habitats can be classified into fresh waters such as rivers, lakes, and ponds, and salt waters such as oceans and seas. So the type of water determines the organisms that can thrive there. So for the second characteristics of aquatic habitat, can I have alindahaw? Can I have wabinga instead?
Different places, they include different areas like coral reefs, ponds, and wetlands, each with its own plants and animals.
So aquatic habitats include a variety of environments like coral reefs, mangroves, ponds, and estuaries and wetlands. So each of these habitats supports unique ecosystems with specific plants and animals adapted to their conditions. And for the third characteristics of aquatic habitat, it's called temperature changes. So the water can be warm or cold depending on where you are and the time of year. So the temperature of aquatic habitats varies based on location, depth, and session. For example, surface waters may be warmer due to sunlight exposure, while deeper areas remain cold. So some organisms can only live within certain temperature ranges, it influencing the biodiversity of the habitat. So the next characteristics of aquatic habitat, can I have Ramos to read?
Yes, teacher. So light levels. Sunlight can reach shallow water, helping plants grow, but it gets darker in deeper water.
So sunlight plays a critical role in aquatic habitats, especially for photosynthetic plants and algae. So each shallow waters receive ample light, enabling photosynthesis, while deeper zones have limited or no light, creating challenges for life forms. Next characteristics of aquatic habitat, can I have Sombreno to read? Can I have Tingal
Freshwater
instead?
habitats have a little to no salt, with saltwater habitats have lots of salt. Sorry, teacher, I'm having trouble with my internet connection.
It's okay. So salinity or the amount of salt in water is a key of characteristics distinguishing freshwater and saltwater habitats. So freshwater systems have animal salt, while oceans and seas have a high salinity. So some species are adapted to live in brackish water where salt and fresh water mix. So for the next characteristics of aquatic habitats, it's called nutrients. So aquatic habitats have important nutrients that help plants and animals survive. So aquatic habitats contain nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are vital for the growth of aquatic plants and algae. So these nutrients from the base of the food chain, it's supporting a wide range of aquatic organisms. So we have the last characteristics of aquatic habitat. It's called special features. Can I have Balana to read?
Special features. Animals in water have special features like gills to breathe and fins to swim.
So, organisms in aquatic habitats have a unique adaptations to survive. For instance, fish have gills to extract oxygen from water, fins for movement, and streamlined bodies to reduce resistance. Other creatures like water plants have flexible stems and floating leaves to adapt to the water environment. Did you get it, class? Okay. So what are the characteristics of aquatic habitat, class? Yes, Tingal.
Yes, teacher. So the characteristic of aquatic habitats are water, different places, temperature changes, light levels, saltiness, nutrients, and special features.
Okay, very good. Can we give a heart reaction to Tingal? So, we are in the last part of habitat, which is aerial habitat. So, an aerial habitat is a space found high above the ground where birds and other animals live and move in the air. So this habitat includes places like the treetops in forests, cliffs, and open skies. So animals like birds, bats, and insects thrive in aerial habitats. They use the air to fly, find food, and build nets. Also, aerial habitats are important because they provide homes for many species, help with pollination, and keep ecosystems balanced by controlling insect populations. And the examples of aerial habitat, first, forest canopy. The upper layer of trees in a forest where many birds and insects live. So, the upper layer of trees in a forest where many birds and insects live. So, the next example is called open sky. So the vast area above the ground where birds, bats, and insects fly freely. So this habitat also important for the migration and finding food. So for the third examples of aerial habitat, can I call on Ramos to read?
Yes, teacher. So cliffs and rocky outcrops, steppe surfaces where birds like eagles and falcons often nest and hunt.
So So in these areas, it provides good views and protections from predators. So the next example is called grasslands. So grasslands, open areas where animals like grasshoppers and birds can be found flying and nesting among the grasses. So the last examples of aerial habitat, it's called wetlands. So in these areas with water where birds often fly over and nest in the vegetation. So many waterfall use these habitats during migration. So, these are the characteristics of aerial habitats. So, first, high above ground. So, aerial habitats are found high in the air, like in the tree canopies or open skies. So, aerial habitats are situated in elevated areas such as tree canopies and open skies. So, these high locations offer unique environmental conditions and resources that cater to specialized organisms. So next characteristics of aerial habitat, it's called flying animals. So they are home to many animals that can fly, such as birds, bats, and insects. So these habitats are primarily inhabited by flying creatures, such as birds, bats, and insects. So these animals have evolved adaptations like wings and lightweight bodies to navigate the aerial environment effectively. So the next characteristics of aerial habitat, it's called nesting places. Can I have Wabinga to read?
Nesting places. Many animals build their nests in trees, cliffs, or other high spots to keep their young safe from predators.
So, many aerial animals construct nests or shelters in elevated spots like trees, cliffs, or tall vegetation. So, this high nesting location um, protects their young from the ground-based predators and provide vantage points for spotting food or threats. So the next is food sources. So aerial habitats provide plenty of food like nectar from flowers for hummingbirds and insects for bats. So aerial habitats are rich in foods resources. Hummingbirds, for instance, feed on flower nectar, while birds and bats may prey on insects or small animals. So these resources it often sustain the species living in this environment. So the next one is wide range. So animals in aerial habitats can travel long distance to find food and mates. So making them good or exploring. So sorry for that, class. Animals in aerial habitats tend to be highly mobile, it allowing them to travel long distances. So this mobility helps them search for food. It locate mates and even migrate to more favorable environments during changing sessions. Okay, class, let's continue. So, weather exposure. So these habitats can be affected by weather like strong winds and rain, which can impact the animals living there. So, living in aerial habitats, it exposes animals to various weather conditions like including strong winds, rain, and temperature fluctuations. So these factors influence their behavior, migration patterns, and sometimes even survival. So, so the last characteristics of aerial habitat, it's called light availability. So aerial habitats can often have lots of sunlight, which helps plants grow and provides energy for animals. So, um, and sunlight characterize aerial habitats, particularly in open skies or treetops. This abundant light supports photosynthesis in plants, which in turn support food chains. It also provides warmth and energy for animals. So aerial habitats are dynamic ecosystems where animals thrive due to their ability to adapt to height, mobility, and changing conditions. So the interplay between environmental features and animal behavior ensures the sustainability of these unique ecosystems. And to continue, may I call on Teacher Sanelo?
So thank you, teacher Nova. So students, we know what are the terrestrial, aquatic, and aerial habitats, and what are the animals and plants live there. So we can help what the problem of Diego. So the problem of Diego is he know what are the plants and animals in the terrestrial habitat, aquatic habitat, or aerial habitat. So what are the animals and plants live in terrestrial habitats that see in the picture? Who wants to answer? Please raise your hand. From terrestrial habitat. So no wants to answer. I will answer the terrestrial habitats. So the animals and plants that live in terrestrial habitat is tree, camel, and bear. So next slide, please. Yes, it's tree, camel, and bear. Next slide, please. And the aquatic habitats is turtles, water lily, and whale. So in aerial habitats, what are the animals and plants live in the aerial habitats? Let's see in the picture. Who wants to answer? Okay, Tinga.
Bats, owl, and bird teacher.
Thank you, Tinga. So the aerial habitats are bats, owl, and eagle. So next slide, please. So Diego said us that thank you for your help, teachers Nelo and Nova, also for the students. So for the understanding of our discussion, I have some questions. So what is terrestrial habitats? Who wants to answer? Okay, yourself.
Yes, teacher. A terrestrial habitat is a place on land where plants and animals live.
So next question, what is aquatic habitats? Okay, Kuni.
Yes, teacher. Aquatic habitat is like a place where it, like for example, in the ocean where the animals in the ocean can live.
Thank you, Connie. So next is, what are the two types of aquatic habitats? Who wants to answer? Hey, Mabelen.
The two types of aquatic habitats are the two types of aquatic habitats are freshwater habitats and marine habitats.
Very good. Thank you, Mabelen. So next question or the last question is, what is aerial habitats? Who wants to answer? Wait, I will see. Kunahap.
Yes, teacher. An aerial habitat is a space found high above the ground where birds and other animals live and move in the air.
So thank you, Kunahap. Next slide, please. I hope that you listen and you understand our topic for today. Thank you, class. Again, I'm teacher Sonelo, together with teacher Melva. Goodbye.
Goodbye and thank you, teachers.
Bye and thank you, teacher.